kilometers. If you look carefully, they're just mowing and grazing as they move on. Now, the cattle egress that you see there, what they do as the buffaloes move, they disturb the grass, and you'll have so many insects jumping up and down, and that is what they catch. And just like in the villages we come from, when we go out grazing cows, or when we were young boys, would still see the same, all these cattle egress tagging along with the cows to be able to feed. There's an antelope there. It's brownish grayish, single one, and this one here is called a topi. So all the three species of animals here have a commonality. They are all grazers. Perfect light. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, should you have any comments and questions, do not be shy. Keep sending them through by tweeting on hashtag CGTNWild.
Welcome back to the river, and over here the hippos are still lazing. No more has arrived. As I said, we had lots of rain. It looks like it's going to be very, very green in the next coming days. It is much welcome. What do you see there, James? Do you see anything? Or is it just Adlerochosaurus? There is a bird, a water bird. You see off to the right there. I think it's a common sandpiper, quite a distance away. Oh, what is it? Can we have a good look? Maybe I'll have to have a look with my binoculars, if you allow me, quickly, and see what it is. No, it's a water thickney, and it's having a bath. Look at that. Yeah, you don't see that. Always a water thickney. This is a very interesting bird. It's got very thick knees, hence its name, water thickney. Yeah, is it gonna do another dive in the water? Maybe it's been careful. A small crocodile could attack it. That's a very big meal for small crocodiles. Mind you, we rarely see young crocodiles, although they are here. Maybe it's a part of where they grow up that we don't see, but remember, crocodiles are cannibalized on one another, so that's why maybe we don't see young ones. Also, they're really hunted by big birds of prey, monitor lizards, even birds like, those marabou storks, yellow-billed storks. If they come across those little guys and herons, they will eat them. So we don't see very many young crocodiles for some reason. We just see when they're about 9 feet is when we really see them. These are inhabitants of the water, and looks like they're trickling down one by one. It's already 2 of them here, but mind you, by the time we stop the river feed later on in the day, they might be more than 10 or 15. They are very abundant in this water, and I'm sure the rains will be very welcome. Peter, you ask if they have killed, hippos have killed crocodile before. Well, it is not very documented, very much, but I have seen casualties of hippo attack, crocodiles, and the one I saw was a medium-sized one. It was about 11 feet. This is a few years back. I don't know what really happened, but he had a very big hole in the middle of its back. And for sure, where it was, I knew nothing would have attacked it, because we don't find humans this far. If you are found on foot in certain area where I am, you'd be considered to be trespassing, and you'd be a poacher, and it is a serious offense. So I knew it wasn't a human, and definitely it was hippo. So that was my first casualty. But you see, I wasn't very interested in recording, but I recorded it in my mind. But I'm sure there are records of them being killed by hippos. Hippos have got these, huge, canines, almost about. They are overgrown in sizes, actually. They look very sharp, and they're always sharpening one another. They're almost 1 foot long, and with 150 degrees gap, they are able even to bite the largest crocodile, into two. Can you imagine an animal weighing 2 tons biting an animal weighing 1 ton? That it has no chance. So definitely there are casualties. They are not always recorded, and when you die in these waters, you don't last very long. There's fish, there is other crocodiles, so they are not evident everywhere, but definitely they are.
Very true, Isaac. That is the cycle of life in the Mara River. And apparently, I'm not very far from where Isaac is. And just look at the contrast of the content of, or rather, what is available for us to enjoy in a very close proximity from each other. Now, we got a mama cow here, or mama elephant, and her baby is enjoying some breakfast. Now, it's very interesting, I would say, because both of them are feeding. The mother is feeding and the calf is feeding at the same time. How wonderful is that? If you listen carefully, you can hear the ellies or these cows pulling the grass off the ground. It's the same family of elephants I had before that I call Mzuri. Mzuri is a local word meaning beautiful, meaning perfect, meaning good in our local national language, which is called Swahili here in Kenya. And there are quite a number of young calves in this particular herd. And you can just hear them getting that grass off the ground. Look at their trunks, how they go around like how you hold a fork when you want to get spaghetti. Do you want to have some milk? Now, if you look carefully between the front legs of this elephant, that is where the right there, the mammary glands are for the cows. Unlike all the other animals, all the other mammals, where the mammary glands are between the back legs, for the elephant are between the front legs, which is quite special and quite different. Now, I'm not sure this calf knows what she is doing, but I just think she's just being playful. And haven't yet learned on what to do with the grass. But at this age, she is definitely not qualified to eat any hard substance, but just to feed on the mother's milk. Taylor-made, that's a very interesting question, and you'd like to know whether baby elephants are lo-sako. Yes and no. Yes, should a mother die, I have seen babies suckling their aunties, and apparently they have made it through and they have matured to adults. But unlike lionesses, where you'll see if they got different litters in the pride, that you'll get calves suckling from any other female, elephants do not do that. And so long as the biological mother is still alive, the calves will only suckle the mother. But we have seen accidentally, or if something goes wrong with the mother and she dies for whatever reason, we have seen the auntie or the sister of the mother immediately starting to lactate, and the calf will suckle to maturity. Now I'm looking at this particular elephant here, finding out. You see the one on your screen there to the right? It got squint tusks, and this is how we ended up giving this particular herd the name. And then there's another one that we haven't seen as yet this morning that has a short or half tail. So staying here a few more minutes and then thinking of going to look for some giraffes, because we have done very well with the herbivores the first few minutes.
So we have made our way back towards the watering hole where we ended off last night, and with kind of a bit of a surprise, we came across the whole lion pride in more or less exactly the same position. You can see it's a slow start this morning. Some heads up. You can see most of the rest are laying down. The small cubs are there at the back as well. And each of them are very strategically placed right inside a patch of sunlight. Now, this watering hole is situated a little bit higher up than some of the others and away from the riverbed, but it's still within a dip. And near the water's edge, it must have been very cold during the night. And we've come across these two. You can see, have a look at how closely that male's following the female. Almost walking right next to her. He looks confused. I thought he was going to try his luck. I'm not sure if I'm hearing the name correctly, but Rakegang, the way we recognize these lions is, with this ones, we don't really have too much of a difficulty because they are one of the prides we mainly see within this area. Their territory almost entirely entirely includes the whole of Ngala within the area that they move in the majority of the time. And we know that they are the pride that we see here regularly, so they don't have much competition from other lions, which we do on occasion see. On Ngala we often see many different prides, and some of them just come in and go, and then it becomes a little bit more tricky to recognize them. But this particular pride, we look at individuals, we look through the scars on their face, their habits. Even though they have predictable behavior as a species, they certainly do have their individual behaviors as well. And as we look at the moment, we know the count, the number of members within the pride. In this pride, for instance, it's 18, with those two little ones as we see on the right-hand side there. And then 8 of these younger ones, like that young male. And 2 of them are white. And at the moment, there's not too many white lions in the wild that is from existing genes. And we regularly follow these animals as well. For those of us that's fortunate enough to be working at Ngala, we have the chance to follow and witness these animals' lives unfold on a relatively regular basis. There's a big part of it that we still don't understand or see. Once they move off the reserve, we're not able to follow them. We don't see the behaviors they exhibit there. We kind of miss that part of their story as a whole. But we did see them grow up over the last almost 2 years. Like this guy here. He's approaching a 2-year mark, and not long from now. You can see he looks quite proud in his posture. He's definitely just sitting basking in the sun. And he's got his head held up high. He's checking the area out, everything moving around here at the moment. Now there's some hippos in front of him in the water. And that's what's catching his attention, as well as the lots of different birds. They know that near the watering hole anything could come down at any point. But I do think it can be tricky at points. For someone that comes from a different area, it might be very tricky to distinguish individuals within a pride and to recognize individuals. And even myself, I often ask myself the same question as some of the viewers might, in terms of how do you recognize. Let's have a closer look at lion families.
Most cats are solitary creatures, with lions being the only exception. A pride consists of 4 or 5 lionesses and their cubs. The whole pride will protect and mentor these youngsters, often carrying them off and saving them from their own curiosity. Bonding between the adults and the cubs often shows these cats' cute and cuddly side. Contrary to what popular culture would have you believe, male lions are not part of the pride and live in coalitions. Young males leave their prides in their adolescence, brothers and cousins roaming the wild in search of a territory of their own. In time, the males settle and look to fortify their feline lineage. Although lazy when it comes to finding their own food, males have an endearing bond with their cubs. But conflict is never far off, as stronger youngsters are always on the horizon, lying in wait to take over territory and claim a pride for themselves. It is an awful sight, but pushes the females of the pride into estrus, allowing the incoming males to state their claim and further their own bloodline. The dynamics displayed by these social cats are intriguing and ever-changing, a contradiction of cuteness and feline ferocity.
Welcome back to andBeyond Phinda Private Game Reserve, and we are still sitting with this beautiful lioness, and she is a member of a pride. She seems to have just taken some time off to herself, and what she is doing is just getting some rest. So we've been with her for about 25 minutes now. We were hoping that she might go and feed, but the only movement she's been doing is to move away from us. So every time we try to get around and get a look at her face, it's happened twice now, she gets up and she moves away and faces the other direction. So she's just recently turned around to face us, but I think she definitely seems like she wants to be left alone. She's still on high alert. As you can see there, she's checking on every little sound, and she's not sleeping. So myself and Craig are going to be leaving this lioness and moving on, and I think what we will do is we will go towards those open grasslands, which I'm sure some of you are familiar with by now. And we're going to see if we can maybe find some cheetah.
I've been watching this lovely impala herd, of course trying to get some clues as to the presence of predators, and I see that 2 males in this herd have broken horns. There's one running through. That one has just 1 horn. It looks like a unicorn. That one's broken off right at the base. Of course, he's hiding from us. Oh, he is very full of energy. Perhaps he's compensating for his one-hornness. But it's broken off right at the base. This one is broken off at the curve. Now these won't grow back. It's like breaking off a bone. It doesn't regenerate. Although cells will close the wound up like you would if you had a broken bone or you broke your leg off, but it will not regenerate. I hope we get a really clear view of the one-horned male. Oh, he's coming around there. No. Patty, you'd like to know if impala have nerves in their horns? They do. They have blood vessels and nerves, so they'll be able to feel if it breaks off. And I can only imagine how painful that must be. Because it's not just breaking, it's breaking off. So if you've had a broken bone before, you know how that feels. But I can't say I've ever had a bone broken off and then open and exposed to the air. They have a sinus-like structure in the center of the horn where blood kind of pools in little pockets. So there's a blood supply. Then there's a bony bit. There's also some collagen over the bone where you'll see little blood vessels. Some nerves through the center. And then keratinized outer sheath, which is the thing that we are looking at right now. It gives it that color. I did have a horn somewhere in this vehicle. I promise it's not one of these ones that are missing a horn. I've had it for a while. I found it. If I manage to find it again at camp, perhaps, then I'll bring it on drive this afternoon. All right, Unicorn Impala, we want to see you. The one had a really clean break right at the head. But horns grow from little kind of nods on the head, little buds, where the growth process begins. And those buds are still on his head. But the horn is completely off. Now if he could just show himself. Let's go a little bit forward to try and get at least one view, or one good view of him. Hi, Shudulu fan. If you'd like to know how long the broken horn would hurt for, I have no idea. No idea at all. If you think of us in a broken bone, where's the smell? There he is. Just got his head down there. If you think about us in a broken bone, we're looking at anything from 6 weeks to about 3 months before you can use it properly again. But I have no idea because they don't have access to the type of care that we do. So I have no idea how long it would hurt for. Can you see there? That bud is still there, but that horn is broken right off. But they seem to be, both the males, they seem to be doing fine. I have no idea when these injuries happened to them, but they seem to be doing fine. Blood loss is not extreme from it, because even though they are blood vessels, there's no major arteries or veins or anything like that through it, so they don't have huge amounts of blood loss, but they will bleed. Well, they seem to be very peacefully eating. No signs of a predator. Lots of birds. It's a strange, noisy, but peaceful and silent kind of feeling. I can hear a squirrel. Just listening. It stopped alarming. Heard a squirrel alarming, but they're notoriously unreliable. Yeah, these guys are very, very relaxed. They're grooming, they're feeding. Well, while I'm here, I want to show you my favorite tree on the property, just because it never gets enough attention. It is the Balanites mugami, or torchwood. You can see the fluted trunk with lots of lichen growing on it. And as it gets damper and damper, that lichen grows quite amazingly and all over. And you get this awesome fairy tale-like effect on the tree. Isn't that lovely? It's my favorite. Well, the Impala have moved off. Luckily, the tree hasn't grown legs and moved off, so we'll be able to see it all the time, or more often on drive. And I am going to head off and see what that squirrel was shouting about.
Good
Morning, everyone. It has been a while, and it is great having you with us. It's Tswalu Kalahari Reserve with David on camera, and I'm Dylan. It's been a topsy-turvy past couple of days. That I can tell you that right now, for various reasons. One of them being tech challenges. We've been having some very, very hot weather, which I think has been playing havoc with our signal. So if you've been missing us, we've been missing you just as much. I can promise you that right now. But as I say, it is great having you back with us again. We are in fine form, good metal. And still 4 shall be checked, which is brilliant. Very, very good news at this time of the morning. And I'm just really sorry that you weren't with us yesterday afternoon, or that we actually rather couldn't be with you yesterday afternoon and the day before. We had insanely cool sightings. It was lions, but lions with a twist. And then some green algae, funny that. But anyway, these sightings are like really, really amazing, and we will try see if we can squeeze one of those sightings in again in the near future. But David and the tech team has been working really, really hard on getting the problem resolved, so I don't think we're going to have too many issues going forward. But thanks for your patience, and it's just like I say, super, super, super having you with us. Don't be shy to ask questions. I've been loving some of the questions that have been coming through, especially pertaining to like the ecology of the area and that kind of stuff. And we'll just go out and have fun. And I see Trishala's like also taken to like standing up in the game drive vehicle. I love it. And for those of you concerned, it is safe. I promise you, no one's going to get hurt or injured. But let's just go out and have an awesome day in the Kalahari.
Welcome back to the River Stake. I am still here. Nobody has shown up yet, but it is not always what it seems. They might turn up any time. The Bush News says that in the last few days, animals that crossed animal life. Did you say hippos are lazy? I think so. That's what you said. Why are hippos lazy? Why are hippos so lazy? They are not lazy. They are not lazy. What happens is they spend the whole night out. It's only that we are not allowed to be here, believe me, my friend, animal life. We are not allowed to be here at night, but I could show you what happens to them. They go out, they mingle with other hippos, they chase hyenas and lions around, they graze, and then they come back to the water very, very early, around 6 o'clock, 6:30. Then they have to stay in the water the whole day. One good reason they look very lazy is they have very delicate skins. If they stay out of water for very long, they would, have sunburn. And that's why you see them in the water resting, keeping their skin moist. There is no much to do in the water. They don't graze under. Here is just about keeping safe, keeping alive. But at night, I promise you, they go far and wide looking for grazing, for grass. In areas where there's scarcity of grass, they would go even farther. So they are not lazy at all. And to have that big body like that, if you're lazy, you die because you won't have time to eat if you're too lazy. So I hope I've answered you, but they are not lazy at all. It's resting time, very much like you. You spend the whole day busy. I don't know what to do, but you do spend a whole day busy doing whatever you do. Definitely there is something, and then there is time that you just sleep. Somebody will not say you are lazy. I was telling you that Bush News is that the wildebeest that were crossing across the other side were headed down this way. I don't know when they're going to be here, but this is the reason I'm staying here all day, and after I leave, I'll have another vehicle come here and wait.
And have a look at those three. Oh, you can see the mother's just lift up her back foot. And then a quick paw in the front. Looks like she's busy licking that little cub. That is pretty amazing what we saw there. So it looks like she's not keen on feeding the little one now. Now, the reason for that might be that they have been feeding for quite a while, and maybe those sharp little teeth has been hurting the mom, so she just takes a little bit of a break. You can see the lifting of the lips. It means that there's a bit of a communication session going on, and the little one's just showing its frustration with not being able to drink some milk. And we've seen they've just started lifting their heads, and they have been moving around a little bit, which is about the most action that's been going on here. You can see now the mom's decided she's going to get up and move off. Look at that, trying to take advantage of mom. Looks like a young female. And maybe the mother's decided it's time for herself to go and have a drink. There we go. Couldn't get some milk, but now water will do. Now once they are done there, I'm pretty sure they're going to go lay back down in the sun. And myself and Gerrit will sit here for a little while longer and see if they do get a little bit more active, the rest of the pride.
Guys, we got Cheetah. We got a mother with two cubs. We got the mother is the one that David's got here now, and there's two big cubs moving out to the right. We'll swing to the cubs just now, so let's just focus on the mother. She's actually hunting at them. I can't believe this. I was just saying to David and Moritz that there were cheetah tracks at the dam where the Shelbys were now, and then just driving along, Moritz says, oh, there's Cheetah there. So this is unbelievable. This is not what I was expecting for first thing in the morning. I think it's mother with two. Yeah. I'm just seeing two cubs here. Three. So it could even, yes, there's three cubs. So it could even be a female with four cubs. But let's just see. But that's the adult female that's sitting up over there. And what a classic cheetah posture. Just out of okay, there she's moving now. Just out of interest, it looks like, and I don't have a huge amount to go on here. It looks like a fairly old female. I'm just kind of going on general condition. She's looking a little bit grizzled, but also her ears are quite tattered compared to some of the other cheetah females that we've seen out here. So, wowzers, man, this was not what I was expecting. So I'm not even going to worry about these cubs are large. I mean, they're not tiny cubs. But I think let's just focus on where the mother's going. She's actually got a limp, eh? What a beautifully. This is a stunning cat, and I'm just seeing like some different things here. It's like it just appears that the spot pattern on this particular animal is quite dense. Again, I don't have a huge amount to base that on, but we're gonna just try to stick with this cat a little bit. You'll see she's coming out past that big tree now. Well done, David. Look at, oh man, this is so exciting.
Just gonna swing around to that.
That's fine, yeah. There's a in the road. Go check in the road there. Look at it. Oh, look at this. Oh my goodness. Oh my word. Jeez, like I am blown away. Yes. Sorry, don't worry about the pole in the way. If it wasn't for that pole, we wouldn't be able to broadcast anything, so it's a necessity. But this is just, I am stunned. I'm absolutely stunned. And it just drives home the fact, you can be walking in Central Park in the middle of New York. You could be walking in a woodland in Frankfurt. You could be looking outside your balcony somewhere, wherever you are in the world, and you can see something incredible when you least expect it. Okay, Mom is now trotting to catch up. We're going to just stay there. We're just going to stay. She's going to cross the road shortly. Let's just give it a second. Just bear with us, and then we will turn the vehicle around and we'll go back that way. There, she's going to cross shortly. Just slowly, catchy, monkey, or cheetah, whichever you prefer. They both. There you go. There is she. Oh my good, what a beautiful cat. Oh my word. And you can hear I'm hearing the shelbies calling. So now the shell ducks are like, now, hey, we did not sign up for having 5 cats at our waterhole this morning. This is amazing. Okay, let's go back that way, guys. Come. Moritz, David, good spotting there, gents. This is what I'm talking about, man. Rob Roy's asked, how long will they stick together like this? It can be about 18 months, and then they'll start moving off. You'll recall that single, the female with the 2 cubs that we've seen, she was always super relaxed. These ones are less so. Okay, there's one on the dam wall. Got the one on the dam wall. Yeah, because that one will turn around. There's something going on here. I don't know if Mom's hunting or what's going on here, but these cats are not nearly as relaxed as that female with the 2 cubs that we've seen before. So we're not even going to go off-road here. We're not going to try and get closer to them. We know Mom is probably at the water here, and the other cub has gone back to her. The other 3 cubs have moved off. I don't want to go around there, because all she's going to do, she's just going to pop back over the dam wall and disappear. So we'll just watch it. There's a cub that's going to come out here now behind this green bush. There you go. So these cubs, I'm guessing now, probably about 12 months old, thereabouts. I'm just going on body size and that kind of stuff. So they've got a way to go yet before they're independent. But yes, what a... now I can retire. No, I'll give that 4 years. Okay, I'm just kidding, people, please. I'm never going to retire. But one day when I'm big, I'm going to work in this place. Just what a morning, What a morning. It's just started. And I was just saying about these incredible sightings that we had the past 2 afternoons when we just had technical challenges there. But then you come out on a morning like this. This morning has been sublime, to say the least. The temperature is gorgeous. We had full cloud cover this morning. It's pulling out now. So the temperature's been warm. It creates this inversion layer, traps the heat under the clouds. And the wind, it was dead calm. There was not a breath of wind. It's picking up now. But it's just been so beautiful. And then like 5 cheetah. So we're going to stick with these cats. We're not going to go anywhere. I just want to see if we can get a little bit of a better, or another visual there for you at least. And yeah.
So while Dylan's sticking with 5 cheetah, we are having a look at these two young lionesses that's just gotten some extra energy. And these are the two sisters. They got the same mother from the same litter. You can see it's a very compassionate form of play hunting going on there. Looks like the one's got hold of the other one's cheek. It's almost like a bit of a boxing match where they're feeling their opponent out, using the jab very effectively to keep the distance. And how beautiful is that? Beautiful sunlight. And looks like they're taking turns rolling around, being on their back. Now, over the last day, they haven't really been using a lot of their energy. Dale, good question. Do cubs experience teething like humans do? Yes, they do. They usually do within the first couple of months after they're introduced to the pride. And then slowly but surely their milk teeth, so to speak, falls out or gets replaced by their new teeth. I'm thinking that we might start to see a little bit more action in this area with the breeze that's just picked up, and I think we're going to stay here a little while longer and see how things develop.
Can you even begin to imagine how amazing this sighting is that we're witnessing here? Okay, but you can see how nervous the mother is. The mother is the one on the far left-hand side. She's super nervous, nothing like that very, very relaxed female with the two cubs that we've been seeing. But what a sighting to see 5 cheetah in a row drinking water. This is just superlative on so many levels. She's a very nervous cat. You can just see that behavior completely, eh? Very, very different to that, the female 2 cubs that we've been watching. Interesting, it's almost like she's worried about crocodiles. Eh? No, there are no crocodiles here, girlie. Okay, that is not PC. Cub, go drink water, do something else. Wow. Wow, wow, I cannot believe this. And then we had like the shell ducks floating past in the front. Oh, yes. So those cheetah won't be any threat to the shell ducks. But the shell ducks, you know, they're just seeing a large predator moving along. They'll obviously be putting up a bit of a scene. But I'm totally blown away this morning by what we're seeing here. So the one thing on Tswalu is this area is so vast. You know, we'll see cheetah repeatedly, animals that we don't even know. So I can't even begin to give you a figure. You know, if anyone asks, well, how many cheetah have you got here? I have no idea how many cheetah we got here. But it's a very good and increasing population. That's what we do know. So occasionally you just get these gems that are thrown your way. I mean, look at that. Yes. And all these little birds flitting in the foreground here, those ones that have just flown, those are sociable weavers, the ones that make those massive weaver nests. Oh, wow. This is just, what a start. What a start to the morning. There's something niggling me about that female still, eh? I just can't put my finger on it. But look at that design, that deep chest, narrow waist, tiny heads, long legs. You know, that cat is built for speed. There's millions of years of evolution coming into play there to end up with that incredible incredible design. But, we've gone through this whole thing before. It's not just a one-sided thing, eh? The active predation is so critical for maintaining ecosystem health, but it's not a one-sided thing. Predators don't just go out and catch and kill whatever they feel like. This one, look at the one at the water. Sorry, David, go down, please. Look at those two. Actually, the one was nibbling the other one, trying to bite each other. So, yes, I do. Oh, my goodness. I'm absolutely in heaven here. They're going to start playing. Watch. They might even climb up on that stump a little bit. Come on. But they are hungry. They're in immaculate condition, perfect condition, but they are hungry. Yes, this is amazing.
I feel like these African hawk eagles are also hungry. They're perched up on a nice big dead tree. Also, remember we spoke about how vultures will sit on dead trees because they have these large wingspan and they need to drop off the tree easily. A whiteback vulture's wingspan is about... This guy's wingspan is closer to about... I hope you can all hear me fine. Yes? No? Okay. You can hear me. So that large... I was saying that the wingspan is about 1.5 meters, give or take 20 centimeters. More like take 20 centimeters. So that's my height, pretty much. A little bit less than my height in wingspan. So they need to also perch on dry trees so that they can drop off easily as well to go into flight. But I think that they are beautiful eagles. Absolutely stunning. You'll see them in pairs most of the time. And they have really large feet and talons. I said they look hungry. It's because they're on the top there surveying the bottom, the ground. And they can see prey, especially when they're soaring high up in the air. They can see prey up to 1 kilometer away. Now they hunt cooperatively often, where one of the pair will go and flush animals out while the other one dives down and makes the kill. And they can take very large prey, or pretty large prey, like around 4 kgs. They like birds, ground birds especially, small mammals. They'll even take young vervet monkeys, which I can only imagine what that looks like. Can't say I've ever seen it myself. Basically the young of any animal. If it's at the 4 kg mark or under, they can easily get their talons on it. Oh, just shrugged its shoulders, or at least that's what it looked like. Well, I'm really glad I could share that with you. I'm going to move on and look for some elephants that I heard in the distance.
Welcome back to the river, and my 2 hippos are still in the same position. Very much allowed during the day because I don't know what they have been up to during the night. Maybe they went into another Hippo's territory, and they got chased around, for very long, and now they are very lazy because they're trying to rejuvenate, trying to recover. I cannot blame them. I don't know what they were up to last night. Yeah, looks like a black-headed heron. Yeah, better vantage point, maybe. Yeah, this is one of our common herons we get here in the Masai Mara. We have very many others, and definitely there could be, some hippodang there that, he's been trying to find little creepies. Again, once more, we have Egyptian geese. He's all by himself, and he's been calling. I don't know if he's lost his mate. That could be very sad, but hear him. Yeah, looks very desperate, very annoyed. I don't know if you can hear him, or the wind is masking the noise that he's making. I'm not very good at making the noise. I would have made some. Yes, he is, I would say, maybe it's a she. She's very desperate. She's calling. That is not a very good sign, because all is not well. Animals, birds, they do show signs of, like desperation, a bit of mourning when something has happened. So I think, something has happened to the partner, and that's why he's very angry. And normally maybe they do meet up around this area, and that's why she's come here, hoping that the male would come. She's calling even more now. Hopefully the wind will subside, and you can hear the call. It goes like...
Very good luck to the Egyptian goose, and hopefully she or he is going to find the mate. Well, earlier you remember I told you I had gotten some news of some lions somewhere, and finally and luckily here they are. The young male there trying to play with some cubs, and this is a pride of lions that we call the owinos. And just sheer joy to watch cubs when they play. When you see any cubs of any predators, to me they are always very beautiful. You remember earlier Trishala had some hyena cubs at the den, and now we got some lion cubs. This group has 4 females in it. That one young male you saw, 3 cubs or 2 litters, 2 of the same age and 1 little bigger, and they got their own dominant male that is called Olalashe. Are you going to play with your brother or your sister there? Let's see what they're going to do. Hide and seek. Ah, beautiful. Beautiful. Excellent stuff there. So these are of the same litter, and their mother is called a butternut. It's a pride of lions we have been following for quite some time. And they're on top of a termite mound. And I'm trying to imagine that mound could be a little bit warm, and that's why those cubs have chosen to be in that particular place, because of all the termites under or inside that mound. The mother's watching from a distance, seeing how the cubs in future will be one day when they'll be independent. Earlier we were talking about lions' dynamics. And in the lion kingdom, when the cubs get big, 2 years or so, when they can comfortably hunt for themselves, they'll always be welcomed to leave the pride. The females will always remain together, and if there'll be any female cubs in the pride, they'll also stay with the pride. I'm trying to find out if that's Butternut herself, and she's one of the lead females in this particular pride. Look at the amount of wind that has picked up, unlike earlier in the morning when we started the drive. But she doesn't look nervous or concerned by the wind. Rise up and shine. Not sure she wants to go and give a lesson to the cubs or maybe change her position. We'll just wait here and see how things are going to unfold.
Maybe this lioness, she's also walking across, and they were just interested. You can see some of them's got their heads up and looking up towards the northern side of this watering hole, except this white lioness. She seems more concerned with what's happening on the opposite side of the watering hole. But there was an impala that's just walked down to the water's edge. And it looked like it wanted to come for a drink, and you can see that's brought a lot of attention with it. It's got its head down. It's not even facing the lion's way, so clearly it's not very concerned. But these lions have been around this area for more than a day now, so I think the animals have kind of gotten used to that fact. They also, except for the few laying in the sun, fast asleep, most of them are also positioned in the shade at the moment. So they're not very apparent at first glance. Now, where they are, with their heads up, even though they haven't eaten, and they've spent most of their energy digesting and then resting, China state, how long is the gestation period of a lion or lioness? A lion doesn't have a gestation period. Is 3.5 months, around about. And then usually after that, the cubs are born, and then they are kept almost up to 2 months away from the rest of the pride, hidden very well in a dense area, where before the lioness will introduce them to the rest of the pride. You can see now there's something that certainly draw their attention. Look at that lioness. She's out in the sun right next to the water's edge. Couldn't care less. She's been having a few good meals over the last few days, and what better place to relax and recover from the eating frenzy in the water's edge. Now the little ones are mostly the ones that's got their heads up at the moment, and they are probably, due to the younger age and having a little bit more energy and a faster metabolism, I'm sure they're the first to try, and they would have gathered quite a lot of energy now from all that meat that they've consumed. Now, here and there's been some movement this morning to try and get rid of some of that excess energy. It's a Beautiful morning here. There's a little breeze going. It's not cold. And then the sun's getting quite warm in certain patches, and it's attracted a lot of birds around here as well. And the birds are calling, they're going. And that's also got an effect on the lions, at least to lift their head and have a look around.
Good morning and welcome back to Djuma Private Game Reserve in the Sabi Sands, everybody, where we've got some Impala. And we've been missioning around this morning, tracking a leopard or two, and unsuccessfully so. My name is Steve, joined by Theo on camera, and we are excited to have you on our vehicle filing this morning. I hope you've been having an absolute winner of a morning. Cheetahs and lions coming from all over the place. And we found a food source that both of those animals, including the leopardess and her young cub that we were tracking, all three enjoy, in fact. Here is a small group, bachelor group, of Impala. And it is indeed warm. I've had my jackets off for a long time already this morning. It's a bit of a warm breeze. A warm front is here, and is often followed by a little bit of a cold front with a little bit of rain. And that's probably what's going to be happening, so we'll see. August is quite natural for us to have wind. The wind dries everything out. It is a time of year when fire is very common in these areas. Dry autumn winds or August winds. And today is one of those. It's going to be a scorcher, it feels. It was already 5 or 6 degrees warmer this morning at the start of drive than it was yesterday. Impalas are enjoying the new flush of green grass there. That's flushed the other day with the rain. We had a bit of rain, I think it was on Friday, and that would have caused the grass layer to form a bit of a flush. It's either that or they are feeding on leaves of the trees that have fallen down in these drainage lines. Lots of trees will have leaves, especially the tambuetes, that when they fall to the floor are actually really enjoyed by many animals. The only way to know for sure is to go up to them and see. It looks like it is a bit of both. A bit of grass that they're feeding on. A little nibbling of the fresh green shoots have come up for our spring that is on its way.
Well, last night, here in the Masai Mara, we had a huge storm. It rained for about 1 hour and a half non-stop, but the first half an hour was very heavy. Now, back to our lions, and you can see the big guy striding in the savannah toward the pride. Time to mark territory or to have a poo break. It was very quick. Very majestic male there. I'm trying to imagine he's saying, I'm looking at my world. I am the king here. I'm in charge. And nobody who can mess around with me. Maybe not. Ryan Lee, you'd like to know whether this dominant male has coalition. No. Apparently, the coalition that was in charge of this territory we are in right now was called the Triangle Boys, and there were 3 males. He came in with 2 other males, from what I gathered, and they overthrew that coalition. They came from the other side of the Mara, that we call the Greater Mara, because we're in the Mara Triangle. And when his mates went back, he stayed. And you can tell from his body language, he just have to be sure. You know, the coalition they overthrew does not come back. So currently, he is alone and he has no coalition. But I want to believe he's doing a very good job. And his name is Ololashe. He is very new in this area. and not sure what happened to the Triangle Boys. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to give you a small little quiz this morning. It's our morning. Maybe it could be a different time where you are. And I want to ask you a question about the Lion's Kingdom. Now, we've been talking about lions, the better part of the day. My question will be, 1, do lions or do the males roar? That's 1. 2, is it the females that roar? 3, is it all the above? So, one more time. Is it the males that roar? Or is it the females that roar? Or is it all the above? Please tweet and send us your answers using hashtag CGTNWild or hashtag WildEarth. The two cubs have remained there, and I do not think I have seen a better setup or location of cubs in the last few years, like where they are. And I just want to sit here watching them.
This large bull is so tall. You actually won't be able to tell how tall he is until he gets closer, but he is really, really tall. A large bull at the shoulder is about 3 meters. I say he's full height, looks around 4 meters, maybe even a little bit more. He's hiding from us really well. I think large bulls are my favorites in the category of relaxed elephant sighting, because in the broad category of just elephants, it has to be baby elephants that I love. But bulls are so calm and relaxed and so slow and deliberate. It's almost like they carry their wisdom on their backs as they move. And because there's so much wisdom, it weighs them down. So they move slowly and deliberately. You see this in old cows too. But remember, a bull doesn't have calves to protect. So they're not very excitable. You'll get a muster bull that goes a little bit crazy every now and then. But these bulls, when they're not in must, are just the most gentle giants. Oh, he's shaking a tree. You'll see him shaking a tree. There it is. He's moving further and further into this dense block. I'm hoping we'll be able to catch him on the road at some point. But at the moment, this is the best view we've got. Being so large, you really have to see them in the open on the road and in comparison to the vehicle. And then you'll be returned to your true dimensions very quickly. He's having a bit of fun with that tree. All right, well, I hope he comes out onto the road. I'm going to swing around and see if we can get that view.
There we go, elephants damaging trees. It's what they do. And we've still with this herd of Impala, which has turned into a massive herd. I thought initially it was just a group of boys, and now we've got a huge herd of Impala. There must be more than 50, 60 animals here. It's one of their strategies of survival, is to be in large groups. More ears, more eyes. And you can imagine, and I discussed yesterday, although elephant damage is very obvious, Have a look at these fellows, these ladies walking through, pruning all the trees. Now, imagine any baby trees trying to grow. And I heard of this many impala walk past. Nearly impossible to survive. They're all jumping a little bit. The wind, as was discussed before, when it's windy, these animals rely so heavily on their ears for survival and for detecting predators. Oh, look at this one's leg here. Look at this one's back leg, Theo. Look at that back leg. Oh my gosh. I've never in my life seen it completely broken and tendon is standing out. Oh, sorry about that, but that is quite gruesome. Yet it's walking all right.
And we're still at the watering hole. And as we were sitting here, we saw the lions suddenly got their attention pulled towards the opposite edge of the watering hole. And we saw this herd of elephant come down. Now, how amazing is this? It's almost same as last night, just during the daytime. And who knows, it might even be the same herd that's been spending a lot of time in the nearby area. As I see that elephant cow there, she's got, the tusks are curved up high. I didn't see the elephant with that notch in her ear though. So I'm not sure, maybe this is a different herd. And so many elephant herds at this time of the year moving through. Now they're a little bit unsettled, you can see, and maybe that's why they keep moving along the water's edge instead of stopping in one spot to have a drink. I think some family groups that might be doing that, but where they were further down, the wind is blowing directly towards them from where the lions are. And I think that might have had an effect. Maybe that's why they seem a little bit on edge and not as relaxed and staying at one spot to drink. Or maybe they just wanted to move away from that muddy patch. All the algae, all the dung in the water, everything's been blown down towards that southern corner of the watering hole, and maybe that's why they decided to move a little bit further up. And drink from the water that's been cleaned by the wind. At least of the debris and whatever else might be drifting at the top or at the surface. But that is pretty amazing. 15 elephants. See, they're standing in these little groups, like separated almost by a gap in between, and it's quite clear. I'm sure within this group, most of these elephants will be related, especially the larger cows will definitely be related, but the smaller groups that we're seeing might just be the different little family groups. There's a young one going in to drink. See, it's trying to get hold of the mom's mammary gland with a trunk and putting its mouth around it, but mother's not too accommodating. always find it fascinating to watch the heads bob up and down as they put it down, slurp up some water, and then throw the head back to spurt it down the throat. I walk in the rain. Little elephants cheer me up as well. Especially when they're very playful. At the moment, I know they're not extremely playful. We can see they're sticking quite close to the moms. But this is a tricky situation for them. They're literally drinking with the enemy. And I think they'll probably keep, because of the cool wind, they're not extremely stressed by the heat yet, which they might be later on during the day, but I think they had to just come for a quick morning drink and then move back into an area where they'll spend most of the day feeding. You do have high water requirements, and on hotter days even more so. I'm sure they're aware that these lions stayed here. So I think we'll sit here a little while longer, see what these elephants do.
I'm just so excited about what we've seen this morning. It's just like one of those absolute gems that gets handed to you on a platter without doing much PT. But what we've done, okay, so they're at the dam like you saw, then they moved off into the brushland, and then they've been heading along this big open clearing, other side of, yeah, exactly in the frame there now, but on the far side of the frame, they moved into that thicket, and they've just been foraging all along the edge of that thicket, moving out in our direction. So I really don't want, my objective at all times with wildlife is as little interference or no interference where possible. So we know this female's hunting. You must just think of that, the feeding requirements that she's got for herself and for large cubs. Those cubs aren't actively hunting by themselves. Yes, if they pop up a steenbok or a hare or something, they'll go for it, but they are far from being independent. So she's still doing probably 80% of the work here. So they're just moving up along the edge of the drainage line. We don't have a sighting at the moment. There's some game around. I'm not worried about the gemsbok, and there's a wildebeest that's cruising around here somewhere over here. They're not going to prey to these cheetah, but there's springbok here as well. So I'm just hoping if we sit quietly and patiently enough that something may happen. It's a long shot, but it's certainly worth giving it a bash. Hey, what a morning, man. And it's good having you all with. I've really missed you all. Yeah. And David and I were waiting for 2 days to see you, but you just didn't come to us. It was so tragic.
Thanks, Dylan, and welcome back to our Impala herd, everybody. We've been watching very closely that little young yearling Impala that's moved off, and Theo actually said he saw that Impala a little while ago and it was fresh. And that wound seems to have sort of rotted over, and the tendon sticking out. The animal was still walking without any serious impediment, it seemed, which I think is quite incredible. How that happened, crazy. But when it comes to hunting, when it comes to cheetah, leopard, lion, hyena, they'll often try and select the weak individual. And that individual with its injury could affect its ability to run, could affect its ability to jump. And those are things that leopards and a cheetah specifically look for when they're trying to find an individual in the herd that will be easy to catch. But it is also tricky when the herd hangs out in such big numbers like this. To try and find an individual in amongst the masses is very hard. Very hard to sort of select one out of there, especially when they move together in unison. But they will always try and select the weakest, the easiest. And an individual like that, you would expect the one with the injury to the leg, you'd expect him to be limping. We didn't see a limp. But whether he's able to take off and jump and run and jump like these impala would do if they did detect a predator is debatable, which would, if he's not able to, would stand him out from the crowd. And then he would be the prime choice. Dylan with his cheetah hunting there. The springbok, you'll notice, if you do get them hunting, will start to do that pronking or that jumping, where the name springbok comes from. And it might not look like the most athletic or fastest sort of run in the world, but what it indicates to the predator is that all four legs are powerful, all four legs are strong, and that animals are in good condition. And 99% of the time, a predator like a cheetah sees a springbok pronking and they will abandon the hunt. Just like with impala, they do a rocking horse gait. And if they're not able to do that, well, then it indicates...
You're not going to catch us. A predator like that lioness that just passed there, which I think might have spotted something. And I've been looking what she's looking at, because she got her attention at something at a very long distance, and I'm seeing nothing. Now, the sister or one other member of this particular pride, or this one, a cub here, is also looking from a distance. Very interesting that these predators will always spot prey from long distances where we are possibly not able to see until maybe they start or go for the hunt. Is when, oh, there was a warthog there. Oh, there was this antelope there. Sammy, lions are pretty fast animals and they can comfortably do 40-50 kilometers an hour. But those will be the lionesses. The males may not run as fast, but they don't run for very long. They just, sprint for short distances. And then if the prey is too far, they'll always tend to give up. It's a bigger cub there, and very good question there for your age. And looking maybe at the mother who went the direction behind us and wondering whether she is going to bring them some late breakfast. Now, when the lionesses commit for a hunt, they'll always leave clear instruction to the cubs. Stay there, don't move, and if you look carefully, there's some nice green thickets there for these cubs to hide. Because what would happen should the cubs also start running with the mother and they're so much inexperienced, they might spoil the hunt. And definitely she is learning something from the mother when she is looking that way. In future, when their time comes to hunt, they're like, this is how you lay ambush, this is the angle to approach on. Now, these are the three cubs here in this litter, the two together of the same age, and the one on the right, which I think is a male, is from a different mother. The two young ones there belong to the female called butternut. It's got the other lioness coming down, and not sure she's going to join the other one, but she's quite a long distance from the first one that passed us. But if you look carefully, she's focused in the same direction the other one went. Good light, good temperatures. Lions would hunt any time of the day, any time of the night. I would be surprised, like even now, they choose to go and hunt. It's 3-4 days ago since I saw them with a kill, and I haven't been able to see them since. I'm not sure in between they have made a kill or not, but if not, this could be a good day for them to get themselves some prey. Just scanning and looking, and definitely they'll always communicate using their body language, be it ears, tails, as they make their strategy to go and hunt. You see how she just behaved? That was an intense look, and maybe something could be happening. Look at that. So I'll just wait here and see what transpires.
we just had these cheetah that actually moved out but far away, about like 400 yards from us, onto the edge of that brush line. They sat there for about 2-3 minutes, and they're just moving slowly across to our left-hand side. Well, at like 2 o'clock to where we are sitting now. We don't have a visual currently, but there are some springbok over here. It's a nice big open area, which is a bit of a catcher. Although they've got some nice cover, I mean, they could actually stalk a bit closer to these springbok. And the thing is, the temptation here is to move, and that's exactly the wrong thing to do. You know, you want to be completely impartial, unbiased over here. You don't want to influence any potential hunt either way, for the prey or for the predator. So we'll just sit here and just see what happens. But this is so cool. What a morning. Another tough day in Africa. And the springbok that are here, I think they might be out of sight, David. You can't see them, eh?
I got them.
Okay, you got them. So those springbok are nice and relaxed. There's no alarm calls going on. Yeah, there was a wildebeest bull that moved through. He was snorting a bit. But I think there's nothing that's going to alarm these springbok just yet. So I think it's certainly worth just biting the bullet and seeing what happens. And no news on the meerkats, by the way. The meerkat colony at the moment is missing in action. But Veronica, our meerkat habituator, is on them. She is really working them hard to see if she can actually pick up any sign of where they've gone to. So I promise you we haven't forgotten the meerkats. Oh, what a morning. Every morning out here is a good morning. There's not a single one that's not good. Wowzers. Yeah. Okay, let's have a closer look at how cheetah, leopards and lions interact when they do interact.
While the big cats spend most of their time asleep, their waking hours are often filled with violent conflicts for mates, food, and territory. There's no room for chivalry amongst leopards. This grizzled old male thinks nothing of stealing food from a hard-working young leopardess. The stability of a cheetah coalition is often shattered by a fight for dominance. A lion's size will always deter its hyena cousins. Confronting the clan can shift the balance. But safety is not always found in numbers.
Talking about conflict, just look at those impalas. You can see the determination. And they seem... It's because these lions are basically finding themselves in a position when they are completely surrounded by prey animals. Some zebra, wildebeest, lots of impala that's come down. You can see some of them are crouching down. You can hear some alarm calls going. Now, that lioness there on the far end, it was a wildebeest that came drinking on the northern end, and as she suddenly showed interest and moved towards that clearing's edge, animals started coming in from all directions. It's that time of the morning, and there's a lot of animals coming down to drink. Now, the animals behind them can't smell them at this point, but there's a chance that they might be able to see them. At least the impalas can. And it's literally a situation where these lions are actually trying to hide in plain sight. So myself and Gerrit's going to sit here and watch how this situation develops.
Wow. We do not know what we'll see here. We got a lioness laying ambush in the grass, and she has spotted this topi here, and I got a feeling the topi has no idea that there's a lot of danger very, very close to her. See how she's crouching in the grass there, and she's just moving her ears, and not sure that is a communication message she's sending to the sister or to the other members in this particular pride. But we've got some wind blowing, and it could be causing a bit of confusion to the topi. Either way, they're always very alert. Even when they do not spot, they would be predators, because they know out of experience they have bumped into lions or to lionesses in areas where they did not even expect to see them, because of how they blend in very well in the grass. This is a typical play that we normally see here in the African wilderness. This is the savanna with all the balanite trees that you see, or the shepherd trees. Lots of open grass. We just want to wait patiently and see what happens. The lioness definitely have seen the topi and has passed the message to two other females behind us, and she has taken off, and she's definitely going to live another day. Not because she saw the lioness, but just because sometimes, they just have a reflex. Let me just take off. Well, to the lioness, try again later, and the topi, you have another day to live.
Well, my pied kingfisher also bolted. And instead we have some lapwings. Also black and white. They're in this dam that's a little bit south of the actual twin dams. In fact, that's why it's called twin dams, because both sides fill up of the dam wall. And this is the side that gets less water, the one that's full of algae, that I like very much. I'm hoping my pied kingfisher comes back. There's normally so many birds down here, so I like to sit and wait just to see. Oh, let's go to the lions.
Well, the lioness has not given up. Albeit the distance between her and the topi growing, she hasn't given up. She's still hoping that topi will stop and maybe start feeding. Now, if you look carefully, it's quite far from where we are, and we do not want to get close and maybe influence the hunt. We're staying from quite a distance so that if anything happens, we may go a little closer. But if you look carefully there, you can see her in that crouching distant posture. She goes down. And of course, the whole idea here is to blend in so that if the topi turns around and looks behind, he does not see anything. I'm just guessing for now it's a male because he is alone. And look at where he is. If he would have known there was some danger behind, I'll tell you, he would have taken off like a long time ago and sprinted very, very fast. But they know through the years they have lived, especially this one, that dangers could come from any angle at any point. So they walk, they move, and they look, stop, eat, or have a drink. But I'm very convinced he has no idea there's a lioness behind. But this lioness is so determined to get some breakfast for her cubs. So until maybe he'll get to a comfortable position where he'll be able to stop and eat, he's not going to stop moving. Let's have a look at our lioness and see where she is. Same position, eyes focused on the topi. Not sure if she'll change her mind. The other topi goes running. This topi, be careful. Things will just change. He had just gone about 30, 40 meters away from the lioness, and now he has taken a different direction altogether. Either some intuition is telling him there could be some danger, but I'm not surprised. This is how they keep behaving. Or something's telling him, this area doesn't feel very secure, doesn't feel very good. I can't see anything, but I'm feeling very uncomfortable. And as Steve was talking about pronking, the toppies also do the same, like the impalas and the steinbocks. But talking of pronking, there are certain antelopes I love when they do that, called the hartebeests. Lioness, what do you want to decide? Do you still want to go for her? Do you want to come back to the pride? Or do you want to get some shade for yourself? Lionesses could hunt any time of the day. We're going to be very patient here and see what she decides.
So talking about lions hunting all times of the day, that's literally what we're seeing now. And what's interesting about this situation is they didn't actually have to move around hunting. I think this is one of those times where the little ones over there don't have to care, really. But all of these lions are in a position at the moment where they're still surrounded by the wildebeest, the zebra, and the impala. And this is literally a waiting game. Now, anything can happen here. The most likely thing would probably be that those antelopes will pick up on the lions, which some of them have already seen. And it's a bit of a catch-22 because they're not sure how many lions there are. They can't see all of them. And they also need to come down to come and have a drink of water. This is the most likely source of water for any animal within a couple of kilometers. You can see I have spotted. Welcome to the party. He's actually probably only realized now that there's wildebeest that close. And you can see the little ones just run. It's a little bit unsure what's happening. And normally when that happens, that would be a perfect example of how a young lion cub could easily mess up the hunt for the rest of the pride. You can hear now the impalas are going. Even the wildebeest have spotted them now as well. Now one would think that the game's over here for the lions, but not necessarily. It's open around the water's edge, and yes, over there the animals will be able to see them clearly, but once they move a little bit further away, there's lions spread out all over this area. If they loop around, this confusion might make one of those animals just turn the wrong direction.
Welcome back to the Mara. Welcome back to the Mara. And I'm still at the river, that hippo there. Just to explain what he just did, he went out, defecated or went to a toilet break and did very much the same I've been telling you about. What they do is males do their bathroom in the same place every day, and by doing that they will spread their droppings, mixing it with their urine, put it in one spot. Always they might have more than 5 spots within their territory, which they visit every evening and do that. And by doing that, they send a message to all the intruders, all the neighbors, telling them that this is my territory, this is my area, please don't come nearby. And I believe that the urine mixed with the droppings sends a very strong message of who they are, how strong they are, and how ready they are to defend their small territory. Remember, these are very aggressive animals, and during mating, males, come face to face, fighting each other using their long canines, almost a foot long. The strength in their mouth sometimes forces them, to push each other, and they stand up almost straight. Las Vegas lady, you asked me how many male hippos are there in a pod. Did I hear that right? If that's the question, it differs from one pod to the other. Some pods of up to 100 hippos, which has been recorded many times in different areas of Africa. Here in the Mara, we get pods of up to 60. There could be even 13, 14 males. Remember, there is one dominant one. And the reason all others are there, it's because they have an interest with the rest of the females that the male cannot cop or service. So when one female come into season, there can be a lot of aggression, a lot of mooing, a lot of grunting, a lot of hissing, a lot of fighting. Lots of aggressiveness is always in the air. He's always gonna defend his females when a female come into season, but always there is males. Smaller pods tend to have one dominant male because he can aggressively chase everybody else, but bigger pods tend to have more males, but still it remains one dominant male to the whole pod until one female come into estrus. You don't always find egrets on top of wildebeest and buffalo, and here they are on the banks, on the shores of the Mara, on those fauna-like rocks, and a few of them are drinking. Very careful. You can tell how that neck is so useful. They stretch it, standing far away. Yes, quick drink and back. Yeah, they know. Look at that. Look at the third one from the left of the 3 in a row. See how quickly, gets the water and, tucks his neck back. They know here are the young crocs that are looking for a male. It will be interesting to see what would happen, but I don't think it's going to happen. But who am I? Yeah, see, I think another one might come in. So you don't always find them on top of animals. You do find them where they need to drink, and this is the spot they've chosen. Oh, look at that. They know that it's always going to be a surprise. So they have to be ready either to fly or, bob up or jump up to get away from, the crocodile. Yeah, they're being very, very careful. Here comes the third one. Yeah, let's see him drinking the first one. Yeah, very careful. You have to be very careful in these waters. Yeah, there comes a hippo. that would be a savior, because if the hippo is there, it means there's no croc, unless it's a really small one. Yeah, you have to be very careful drinking in the Mara. See how careful they are. I would be. Yeah, I can tell the water today is much browner. I don't know if you've seen this, but the water is very brown. Remember, this is live. It's coming from the Mara, courtesy of hashtag. Talk to us on hashtag WildEarth, hashtag CGTN Wild. This is where you can drop a question, drop a comment, tell us what you think. Drop a question. All the guides in South Africa, in Kenya, will answer you if I cannot. But it's a beautiful morning here at the river. You can see the barn swallows off bottom left, turning every now and then. You see that? So I have lots of things going on. Yeah, see them? Yeah, those are barn swallows. They keep coming and going. I'm gonna stay here at the river and enjoy myself.
Thanks, Isaac. Well, welcome back to South Africa, everybody, and we are now on Cheetah. We've come down to the big watering hole here to see what's going on around the water. As with the Mara is the lifeblood that the Mara River is the lifeblood that flows through the Mara. The water, everybody, is the currency of life. And here we have Cheetah watering hole, where there are some hippos, but the impalas have come down to drink, and now they're moving off. So if we go a little bit more to that left-hand herd there, you'll notice that animals like impala will come every day to drink, twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day. And then as they leave, they feed on the way. So on the way to the water, they might move quite quickly to the water, and then on the way back, they start feeding. So these areas around water, around rivers, around watering holes, 5-kilometer radius, 5 kilometers is pretty far. They see an enormous amount of pressure every single day, and vegetation is removed, and if anything is around, it is eaten. And so that is something we call the sacrifice zone. Linda wants to know if impalas ever go into the water. Well, Linda, right here at this watching hole, James, Henry has seen 2 impalas flying into the water. One of them was being chased by wild dogs. And that didn't end well for that impala. That ended up getting eaten by a crocodile. And he arrived another time to find an impala standing on one of the islands that are here in Cheetah. And that was probably also due to wild dogs chasing them. And that impala also didn't do very well, because the crocodile actually went onto the island bank to try and get it. And the impala tried to swim away from the crocodile. And, well, everybody, crocodiles have got a very broad tail. Very powerful swimming tail, and if you've seen the legs of impalas, it's like trying to swim forward doggy paddle with chopsticks. It's not going to propel you very quickly. They do move, but it's not a very quick paddling design. But they will often, many animals will take to the water, because it is a bit more safe to jump into the water for a moment than to be caught by dogs. But once in the water, many, many perils await you. Years ago, I was at a watering hole similar to this, and wild dogs chased an impala that did the same. Jumped into the water, and it swam straight across the bank to the other side. And once on the other side, the dogs got to that other side, and the impala turned around and swam past a pod of hippos. And the male hippo swam up behind the impala and opened its mouth and took the impala underwater. Now, we never saw the impala again. I spent the next few days at that watering hole. We were actually camping there, and I never saw that impala again. So I'm almost certain it drowned, unless it is still holding its breath and is holding a Guinness Book of Records. I only joke, everybody. But hippos can be quite territorial with their watering holes, and if anybody encroaches on that, can often lead to them being smashed. Hello, Bernice. You want to know how many different types of antelope? Okay, impala, bushbuck, Ngala, kudu, waterbuck, duiker, sable have been through. I suppose you could put wildebeest in there. Steenbok, thank you very much. So I'm on to 9 already, and I'm probably missing a couple. Sable have been in this area before. They do move through. We do in the Greater Kruger National Park have Sabi, and we have Roan, and we have Eland, so that takes it up to 12. There's also Sharp's Grijsbok. There's also Suni, which is another small little antelope species, like a Grijsbok or a Steenbok. So I'm up to 14 there. Did I not say Ngala? Might have said Ngala, but Thea's saying Ngala. I thought I said Ngala, but anyway, that's 15 perhaps. But there are multiple species through Africa as they change in the habitat types. You go from aquatic habitats, which favour animals such as lechwe, where the waterbuck come from, and then you go into forested areas where you get numerous species of duk-duk throughout tropical Africa. So many species of duk-duk. There is a huge book just on duk-duk, and the Mara has got wonderful species as well. Going over to the Kalahari, we get the much more desert-adapted animals such as the Gemsbok. Definitely see more eland that side. So these animals have all evolved specific habitats, and they have a habitat preference. And in the Sabi Sands, we see there's a fair amount of water, and there's a fair amount of what we call edges. So areas that are open like this, and then thickets. And Impala are specialist when it comes to edges. So the habitat preference for Impala in the Sabi Sands is enormous. There are plenty of Impala here. It's also what makes our leopard population so numerous. The same habitat suits Duika very, very much. And Duika and Impala are two of the primary prey sort of animals for leopard, and that's why we've got a very high density of leopard in this area. Obviously, going up to the Mara, the much more wide open spaces gives rise to herds, much bigger animals, and it's why it is a prime lion habitat.
So this area has just been so productive this morning. You can see now most of the lions have got their head up, some of them even completely down and look relaxed. They've lost the interest in the herd of wildebeest and zebra that was coming down to the water to drink. And I saw those animals move off. Now we're suspecting that they're probably going to find a different angle to come at the watering hole to come and drink. But while that's happening, there's other impalas and other animals that's come down as well. And each time they realize there's lions, and then for the first time in the day they start shouting at them. So I think it's not completely lost yet, but I think that their biggest chance have gone now. The animals are now aware of them, and you can see the large lionesses are not really paying too much attention anymore. Now, we also had view of a couple of elephants further off in the distance again. So that should be interesting to see. You can see there's a bit of family bonding there. Probably going to lay down on top of the other one. Oh no. But now there's a nice pillow for the one at the back. The sun's getting very hot, so these animals will be moving into the shade and along the edges. So they won't be as visible as they have been all morning. But they also won't be as active with the heat rising. So I think we'll give it a few more minutes, see if they settle. We might decide to start moving on.
Welcome back to the banks of the Mara River. I'm still here, and now I have 3 hippos, all facing the water. I don't know what they're doing. Maybe They're meditating. It looks like they're seriously into something. What do you think they're doing? Or they like to watch water and see, you know, how it looks from the outside. Interesting. Okay, just something quick for you guys, because you have been asking me questions. You have been sending very good comments. I'm very grateful. You know, what do you think? You know, this is a small quiz before the end of this live show. Maybe you can, we'll tell you who has given us an answer. How old do you think that little guy is? James, could we zoom in a little bit? How old do you think that little hippo is? That cuddly, beautiful little hippo. I must tell you that it might look very small, but it can be very slippery. I once came across one that was separated, and my boss said, Isaac, could we capture it and take him back to water? And I tell you, we dove on it, you know, 2 people, you know, on the back, and how slippery it was, I could not believe it. We could not hold it. We could not hold it. It was so strong, it kept dragging us. Now there are 2. I don't want to confuse you. I will still remain with the one outside. That this one is much younger. I'm asking about that one out of water. My little question is, it's just a small quiz. How old is that guy over there, that little hippo? Yeah, looks like they have a choreography going on. They've turned into different direction. This is serious, you know, yoga or meditation. Yes, looks like, you know, there's something going on definitely there. I don't know how to speak Hippo. I wish I could translate, but definitely you could tell there is something going on. I'll be here waiting for your answers, but this is rather beautiful and getting even better, you know, for me.
That very dry, dense tree line behind this herd of elephants, this herd appeared. Now, this is pretty spectacular. And I think that's how it's going to go back and forth from here on for most of the day. One doesn't always realize it, but when you sit at a watering hole long enough like this, at the right time of the year, on the right day, then you might see a lot happening. Look at that female with the big tusk. Her left tusk is quite a skewed tusk, and her right tusk is quite short. Now, this elephant, since she's got this very unique set of tusks and it is quite conspicuous, we are able to recognize her when we do see her moving around. And we have been seeing them for the past couple of days, actually moving over quite a vast distance. She also looks the oldest out of the elephant cows here. It looks like she's got 2 younger ones with her as well. And I think if we watch her movements very, very carefully, we might see how the rest of the herd members react to her. Now, they came down quickly, and there's a possibility they came from quite far to come and have a drink here. They might have actually been moving all morning to get here. And I can see some of these elephants are stepping deeper into the water. Looks like there's a couple of younger males still with this herd, almost in a separate little group when they came down, but now they show that they're a little bit more bold than the females with the younger ones. So now that big elephant's turned around, I want to see what she's doing, where she's heading, and how the rest react to that. This is just amazing. Rimble, do elephants ever drink water with their mouths? Indeed they do. In fact, especially younger elephants. Now, I don't see tiny babies here, but some elephants are quick learners, quicker than others, and a young elephant baby can take anything from 6 months to about a year to learn how to use its trunk properly. And before such time, when they do drink water, you'll often find they'll put their whole face in the water. They'll run towards the water. Sometimes they slip and they fall with their face in the water and try to drink water like that. Like they technically only drink with their mouths, I suppose, if you think about it. If we watch these elephants carefully, look at that one. See, she puts the trunk down in the water. And that one slurps water up and then squirts it into the mouth. And often squirts out the first bit of water if it's too muddy, and then drink, and then the last bit. Now, there's a calf. That squeal is from a calf trying to drink. You can see the mother's getting away.
Welcome back, everyone, to andBeyond Phinda Private Game Reserve. It's been a while. We've been driving around and not seeing much in terms of animals or even birds, for that matter. It's so windy, but we've just managed to find this big giraffe bull, and of course he's now hiding. But he's busy feeding on a big scotia tree, and there we go. You can see those beautiful red flowers at the moment. So it's called a weeping boerbean, and it flowers now from August till about November. And where the giraffe has been feeding, can you see how all of a sudden there's no more flowers wherever the giraffe has been able to reach? So he's been eating the leaves, but also feeding on the flowers that he can reach. And he's busy, he's hiding at the moment. Lots of the animals are hiding with this wind. So Hoffman is asking, why is a giraffe's tongue blue? And that's quite a tough question. I mean, there's been quite a bit of research into if perhaps there is a definite reason for the tongue being blue. But giraffes feed on a lot of a huge variety of plants. And of course they are browsers, so they feed only on leaves, and they'll feed on new growth, so newly growing leaves, and the new growth of the tree. And some of those trees are quite poisonous, and they have poisonous properties in them. There's a better view of them.
Welcome back to Chitwa in the Sabi Sands, everybody. I'm sorry about the technical difficulties. Just going to let you listen to these starlings going crazy here. There's two options behind this. One is there's a snake, and the other is they're having their end of year function. Annual general meeting. I'm looking very hard for a snake. I bet to see one. It's very common for birds when they find a snake to mob it, to make a lot of noise. Two species of starling there, the birchills and the greater blue-eared. A real little bird party of starlings.
Lots of birds. This is the woodpeckers. Look at this, there it is. Oh, this is too cool. It looks like a golden-tailed woodpecker. As you can see on the view is not the best, but they're the ones that quite like ants and termites. So you see them on the ground more than the others. They move so fast though. So fast. There were some other birds on the ground. Oh, there's some waxbills down there. Kim, that is a really good question. You'd like to know where a bird's ears are located on their head. It's just like a pinhole, and it is behind their eyes. So pretty much the same location as our ears. And they can still hear perfectly well, even though they don't have external bits to their ears, or pinnae. That's the external bit. But they can still hear very, very well. This is a lovely part of the Mowati. It's a part of the Mowati that's just almost approaching Ngala Road. Oh, I see the woodpecker again, PK. Just, you see that little termite mound that's on the top there? Getting some good termites, I'm sure. Oh, this is so cool. Rhonda, you see what beautiful birds we have today? Certainly we have some really stunning birds today. I want to have a good look at the woodpecker, but it's all over the place. So the Bennett's woodpecker also quite likes ants, as well as termites, and they're also seen on the ground quite a bit. And the one that we saw had a forehead that was black with white spots. And if it had these kind of, looked like it had blush on its cheeks, then it would be a Bennett's. But they are flying all over the place for now. Well, I'll confirm with you in a moment if I get a good look.
Well, the woodpecker's feeding behavior and the sacred ibis that we got here are very different. I was asking myself the other day a question, where do woodpeckers drink? Because they do drink, but all my many years I've been in the African bushes, I have not seen a woodpecker having a drink. I'll be finding out from Trishala or Steve or Isaac or the other colleagues of mine whether anybody has ever witnessed a woodpecker drinking. Now, we have a huge party here of this sacred ibis, and I counted about 100 plus. 100 plus, because I think they're all together here because they could possibly be coming to the end of the breeding season. Breeding is always from the months of March, sometimes to July, maybe coming to August, and I think they must have come to the very end of the breeding season, and they need maybe to eat lots of food at the moment. Having, been mating and laying eggs and incubating, because I haven't seen such a huge flock of sacred ibis together in a given time. Of course, we've got other bird species amongst them, and in the background there, I can see the cattle egrets. Yeah, there's a cattle egrets in the background there. But also the cattle egrets could have been brought, or they are all together here because of food. And unlike the woodpeckers, like what Trishala had, will go feeding on trees and, knocking or looking for holes that could have been made by beetles or wasps. These ones will be feeding on any worms or other invertebrates, crustaceans in the water here. Doing a bit of fishing too. And if you look on the back feathers, the black feathers on the back, on the tail there, you can see they seem to be spread out a little bit. To me, an indication they just came off from the breeding season. And you get sometimes the female maybe maximum 5 eggs. Do you want to have a drink? Look at their beaks. They're quite long and very sharp. She must have gotten herself something there. And they dig them right through because they're sharp and thin. It must be something they're getting from there. have no idea what it is. And in general, they'll always feed on the edge of the water, not inside the water. Sacred ibis, the name coming from the ancient Egyptians. They were related to the ancient Egyptians to a particular god who was thought to be very sacred. But there are other areas you get these birds, like Iran, not only here, but they're native to Africa. That one you see there is an egret, but that is the larger egret, or the greater egret, rather.
We've just been having such a treat this morning. This is the third herd of elephants that's come down. So there's already 32 elephants that went past here, and now this herd has come down. This is a very large herd. Now further up to the other side of the watering hole, you can see another herd of elephants there, and the lions are still around as well. And I wonder if we might see some interaction between these two herds. There's some zebras at the back, wildebeest, impala. There's also a warthog that we saw in and amongst this. And myself and Gert's been counting the different species at the moment around this area, and including the birds, it's already gone past 20. So I think it's just the right time at the right place at the moment. Now the water is held very well up until this time of the year. Normally this watering hole would be dried out, but we've had a good rain year. And it's amazing to see how it plays an important role later during the dry season. Just have a look at that. With a large herd like this, there's a bit of confusement and as well as excitement when the elephants come down to drink. The babies are scrabbling to find a space, and I guess they'll spread out once they have had their initial drink. Jerry, how often do different elephant herds meet up? That is very difficult to answer with a sure answer, I think, because it depends on the situation or the area. In this case, Ngala is part of an open fence system, which means there's no fences separating the reserves nearby. So at the time of the year when the pressure for water's on and the animals get pushed to move further and further away from their home ranges to look for water, they might encounter different herds that they don't know. But then there's also the chance of elephants encountering herds that's formed by splitting off from another herd. In that case, related elephants often do meet up. And that could happen if they stay in the same area for a couple of days. When they go drink, each time they drink it might happen. So I'd say maybe at least twice or 3 times a day. But it's a very difficult question to give a clear answer for, I think. And in reality, I'd say the best answer would be, I don't know. In this case, I wonder if these herds know each other. They must have been interacting a bit over the areas with water here. So you can see now there's a movement. Some the group members moving over towards the others, and I think they do have them in their sight. One's in front is approaching a little bit more carefully, and I found often that the younger elephants are more gregarious, and they're often quite keen on walking over to nearby groups and make friends, just introduce themselves. So we'll see what happens there. And it's also interesting that other herds kind of stuck at that area off to the right for quite a while now, and I think it's because when the big herd that came down now, they are very thirsty and they have to come and drink. But then the others, they have already had their drink, and I think they're looking for the loose mud in that side of the watering hole, which they might apply to their wrinkly skin to cool themselves down. This is incredible. Ooh, there's some warthogs coming down. I think they might come and do the same after the elephants have left. It's almost like each group of animals have their specific time that they come, and we have noticed that first herd of elephants came, drank and moved off. Then the next herd, which is slightly larger and it looked like an older matriarch as well. Here we go, look at those warthogs. Also a little bit weary. Looks like a young one, maybe the mother. So let's see, they're probably going to scope out the area a little while first. Now where these animals are at the moment, they wouldn't pick up on the scent of the lions due to the wind. And there we go. Here's the big meeting. So at this point as it stands, there must be over 30 elephants there at least. It looks fairly peaceful. Don't hear much of a commotion going on. That is amazing. You can hear some babies frantically calling, probably trying to get a bit of milk, maybe a little bit intimidated by the amount of elephants. I'm sure they would know all the elephants. DG, this is a very, very incredible view. I actually can't believe our luck this morning. You can see younger elephants. Some are moving off. I think there might be ones with smaller babies. And then some of the younger elephants, like the teenagers, joining the rest of the group and introducing themselves. And now this warthog and a young one have come down. I am practically speechless. There's so much happening here at the moment, and it's such a good time to be by the watering hole, and that's why I think we'll sit here a little while longer.
Welcome back to Demara. Of course, it must be an amazing sight to have all those animals at in a watering hole. I can't see that, but my director is explaining to me. Okay, we are back here at the river, and now we have three little cuddlies, three little cuties, whatever you might like to call them, and they are actually doing very well. You can tell they're very healthy. They can be very playful, these little ones. They don't have much to do with, like kicking or, scratching, but they chase each other really fast. Yeah. So, I'm gonna go back to my original question. It was about those. Yeah, I've got 3. I did ask you about, how old that little hippo was. It's not in the frame right now, and I've had 3 answers from my keen, observers. I didn't get the third name, but it was Danielle, 6 months, Lisa, 3 months, and I didn't get the third name. She said 4 months. I don't know. I don't recall the name, but 3, 4, and 6. It was Liz or Elizabeth. So Danielle, you said 6 months. Elizabeth, you said 4 months. Lisa, you said 3 months. I must say thank you very much for participating. The little guy, I would say he was 2 to 2.5 months. It was too big for 4 months and very big for 6 months. At birth, they are born at around 60 kilograms, and in the first month, they can actually add a lot of weight. So I would say, they were, through experience, 2 to 2.5 months. Lisa, you would have been very, very close. Thank you all for participating. I will have another quiz another day, maybe tomorrow. But thank you for being, keen, part of the show, enjoying, what we share with you. Yeah, those guys are coming out more and more. I still see more. Yeah, oh, there's a male to the right. That guy is a male, and the main reason I tell you that, I saw him being chased earlier by another male, and then he went to the bathroom, and that's how I could tell he's a male. Looks like maybe he's an intruder, and he's got, he's wanting some attention, and it's unwanted and very unwelcome. Some, usually males have got that thick neck compared to females. We'll be looking at that shortly once we change the frame, but definitely looks like he's very sad. He's there, he's like, oh, they don't want me here. Yeah, what can I do? Yeah, usually they have that thick neck. Have a look at that. See, I would say, I don't see much different. Looks like also that's a male. But yeah, I've seen them, having very thick necks. Yeah, the little guy now is zonked out, very fast asleep, which is much needed after being very playful. I must say this little pod has got very, cute little ones. I think that's the guy we're talking about, the one to the right of the 3 young ones. I think that's the guy. He's much bigger. I would give him around 2.5 months. That very small one there, that's easy 1 month or less. You can tell, very small, maybe 80, maybe 160 pounds. Yeah, very, very small. But it's nice to see these many hippos. Yeah, somebody just woke up, want to reposition maybe. There's a rock that's piercing the skin, want to move away from it and reposition. Remember, these guys are very widespread, all over Africa. And they occur in most lakes, rivers and streams. They do occur there, even man-made dams. They will appear from nowhere. As long as there is running water, they will follow that water, hoping to find, a big pool. And usually when they find it, they stick there. They can be very dangerous if cornered, especially if you stay in between them and water. Another pair is just coming out. Looks like the bell to come out of water has been rung. Yeah, looks very slow, very tired, but I tell you, these guys can run. If you see them run, it's just like a tank, moving through land. Very heavy, but can move at 30 kilometers now and, maintain that pace so you cannot outrun them. They also can turn at very sharp angles. The main threat facing them in Africa at the moment is meat trade, and especially this time of pandemic where people are facing serious hungers in certain areas. They are hunted, or they are poached to, provide meals to locals. Yeah, I'm staying here for a little bit. Then I'm gonna head out and I'll catch you out there, try and find you something else.
Thanks, Isaac. Welcome back to Cheetah, everybody. Sorry about the aerial. We've got our camera right up in the air. We've got a huge vortex or kettle of vultures flying around above us, and it's very difficult to actually get them in shot. There's more than 100 birds above our head, all flying around, generating the thermals, which is heat, causing uplift from the ground, and the vultures with their very large wings are able to access those thermals, which then pick them up and elevate them into the sky. Well, Theo, we've actually found an animal at the same time. In the road ahead of us at 12 o'clock is a hyena that's decided it wants to come and see what the vultures are up to. And we're going, he's slathering. We're going to follow him quickly. He's running. He's running. Where are you going to, Mr. Hyena? His saliva was pouring out of its mouth. The vultures seem to have taken off from this area as well. That's while we were checking. Now, either this hyena is very thirsty, or he's got his nose on some prize that we haven't managed to find yet. But I like hyenas for that. They're very good at finding our leopards for us. He's got his nose. Oh, waterbuck. Don't scare the waterbuck, hyena. Oh, there he goes. It was dripping saliva. I think he also was following these vultures, and vultures often take off from an area that there was some form of dead animal. Okay, well, that waterbuck is actually going to chase the hyena a little bit. Let's carry on. Sorry. Hyena seems to think there is something right here, and there could be. But also, it's a young hyena, so it's not the most experienced. It might, yeah, I can see him there. It could, following the vultures, thinking there's some food. But if the vultures are taking off already, it's a very good chance that whatever was here is well and truly eaten. Now, where did it go? Went charging along this way. Running, stopping, which is, you got him? So where with there? Ah, yes. Up on the other side. Oh, hold on. Gone straight through the block up here. Let's see if we can get an access. There's a road up ahead. Make life a little bit easier. Running. To where he was the other day. Okay, we're going to try to follow this hyena, see if he maybe leads us to a leopard.
I am looking for this yellow-throated apelus that's calling. Hear it? There's so many tiny birds fluttering all over the place. I think you got to hear it. Now, the woodpecker that we saw was in fact a Bennett's woodpecker. Managed to get a better view. Also, the fact that we heard it call that I didn't think about. Come on up and let's show yourself. No. And now the call has gotten further away. Oh, wow. I'm almost at Buffelshoek Dam. There we go. Hopefully there'll be some elephants playing in the water. I was so happy with yesterday afternoon's sighting of the elephants playing in the water and the sun glistening. It was just beautiful. When you have really nice sightings, you can't help it but hope that it will happen again. But then you're also so happy that you're fortunate enough to witness it and then, of course, share it with you all. Well, I'm almost at the dam. I'll let you know when I find it.
Talking about great sightings, I think the ones that's had the best sightings this morning over here on Ngala has been these lions. They have just seen a giraffe walk into the picture. And the giraffe is somewhere along those trees there. We've also had some kudus come down. It's the late morning drinkers. It's often too hot for the other animals to come down. That's when kudu and often the giraffe come down. You can see some kudus, some larger ones, a few younger ones. And the impalas are still around. There's still a lot of impalas coming from all over. All of these animals have been moving from the areas where they spend the night and then close to their feeding grounds. And once they've had their drink, they're going to move back there, which can be a couple of kilometers away. There we go. And let's see if we get to see this giraffe drink. That'll be amazing. You can see he's got quite blunt, thick horns, or ossicones as they're known. And he's coming along the edge of the water all the way down. He's probably looking for a easier spot to access. And I think he's just spotted the lions. He's just froze. Ears are facing straight forward. And he's keeping staring in the same direction. And the lions aren't particularly well hidden, and I think maybe they were also taken a bit by surprise when he walked in, so they didn't really set up an attempt to try and hunt. I also don't know if they'll really spend the energy on something as large as a giraffe now. They are curious though, and they are going to watch every move very, very carefully. So now it should be very interesting to see what this giraffe does. And one can probably wonder, is he going to drink? How exposed will he be when he drinks? And he's kept staring in that direction as well. He stopped before he came in. So maybe there might be more giraffe. Jane, why don't giraffe need to hydrate as much as other animals? That is a very good question. They certainly don't have the higher water requirements that other animals might have. But they do come and drink regularly if it's available. Now, I think it might have to do with their size with their diet, more than likely. But I don't know a specific answer to your question. I'm going to have a look and see what I can come up with. Talking about that, I also had a question yesterday about, do birds get their winter plumage? Which I've actually found out. Some birds do get a winter plumage of some sorts. Some birds molt their feathers, and they take quite a while. Some of them can take a couple of months or a year. Where some of them the molt is quite quick. And they usually constantly preen their feathers after a breeding season, which might be due to the time of the year. They have to pull out some of the older feathers to make place for the new ones to start growing out. Specific winter plumage in terms of keeping them warm, I haven't come across anything yet, or much changes in that. So you can see that giraffe's kind of stepping around. He's very unsure at the moment what's happening. And I'm very interested to see whether he's going to drink or not.
Yeah, any water bodies could be very tricky to animals like giraffes, and it could be anything, laying ambush there, like the lions. And I came along the banks of the Mara River, and as usual, there are some species of animals that we know we will never miss, and these reptiles here are very good examples. These are what we call the Nile crocodiles. And you can see by virtue of size, one is a lot younger in age than the one closer to the water. Now notice part of the tail of this crocodile is in water. And for that reason, sometimes we say they are semi-aquatic. They are, either in water or out of the water, depending on the situation. Are they feeding? Are they basking? In general, when they feed the crocs, they feed in water. But now, for the obvious reasons, they need to warm up, being reptiles, and they cannot regulate the body temperatures. They need to be out to get enough warmth. See the scales they got on their skins? Way back, people used to hunt them to make, either handbags or belts or shoes, but of course, not anymore. Because each species of an animal here counts in order to keep the cycle of the ecosystem running as it should. Very difficult to tell, whether it could be a male or female. Eyes closed, tucked in, and getting the best from the sun. Just talking how long the crocs would digest the meals. I'll tell you, it is difficult to know, but what I can say for a fact, they take a very long time to digest the meals. And the reason for that, it's because crocodiles, unlike other animals which say will chew a little bit of the flesh they eat, crocodiles will just cut their flesh in big chunks and straight away swallow. Now, crocodiles got tongues, but the tongues are glued to the roof of the mouth, and the tongue doesn't help to churn or doesn't help in feeding because tongues come in very handy when you're chewing something. Now, having the tongues glued to the roof of the mouth, that does not help these reptiles to chew their food. So they just cut pieces and they straight swallow it. And what we usually believe they do by spending so many hours outside basking is they absorb lots of solar energy, and that solar energy later on tonight, with the help of the enzymes, help to break down what they did not chew in the mouth. So one thing I would say, I may not know how long, say, the digestion process would take from the mouth to digestion to exiting it, but I would say for a fact it takes long, because it takes rather long before they break it down, because they do not chew it into smaller pieces. Well, crocodiles, these reptiles, have a lot of information.
On the banks and beneath the surface of the Mara River, there lurks a reptile with quite the reputation. For nature's favorite villain, pickings have been slim for the past few months, but the wait is over. The migration has arrived. They slink beneath the muddy surface as the herds approach. Drawn to greener pastures on the other side, the buffet table is laid and the feast begins. The world's most powerful jaws snap at wildebeest, zebra, and gazelle. Africa's biggest crocodiles will feast like this. And then, until the next herd is drawn to the water's edge, they will bask on the banks content.
Crocodiles can truly strike fear into animals and humans alike. Definitely don't want to be swimming in any area with the crocodiles. Now here at Buffelshoek Dam, there's no crocodile at the moment, but there have been in the past. But you can see that we have a hippo here. In fact, there's two hippos, and one is being very careful about only letting the snout out so it can breathe. There it goes. While the other one has its head fully out, or at least its nostrils, its eyes, and its ears, where it can collect information. Those vital parts are out of the water, much like a crocodile. Being able to submerge most of your body and still be able to smell, see, and hear is very important if you live in the water. And you can see that hippos have a very similar structure. I love that little nose that's poking out every now and then. I need to breathe, but it's too hot out there. Either that, or it could be the hippo's toes that's poking out there, and it's actually relaxing on its back. That's very unlikely, everyone, although it does look cute if you look at it that way. But you can hear the exhalation as that little nose comes up. Very, very sweet.
There's certainly a lot of action around watering holes today. I can imagine it is quite a warm day. And we've just seen some action here. Although these lions don't look like they are keen on a lot of action. There's one of the younger lionesses that have chased that giraffe that came down. He actually decided to take a drink. And then one of the smaller lionesses ran at him. And being a giraffe, it must instinctively run from predators. He ran off. You can see he stopped. And how he's slowly but surely making his way back. he hasn't given up yet. And I think it's because he's only had a very, very short time at the water's edge drinking. He probably didn't get enough water from that. I think he also knows that the lioness that's chased him was only one, so there was no cooperative attempt. And maybe he's realized that he's probably safe to try and take another attempt just from a different angle maybe. So I think he's just checking out the situation carefully, kind of like these lions are doing. And they've had their pick all morning. Like the biggest movements they've made is to try and make themselves less conspicuous, although they haven't really moved off from the water's edge completely. And I think it's because there's quite a strong breeze coming through in this open section, so it is nice. It does cool them off. So you can see that lioness just got up. I think she's also moving out of the sun to cool down. Now with this, it makes it very tricky for the other animals to come and drink, but they do not really seem to be completely deterred. They know that water is a scarce thing. Michael, in this lion pride, there are 18 lions. So 18, and we're only seeing a couple, or number of them. I thought I counted about 9 earlier on, and the rest are spread out all over. The only one I didn't see this morning was one of the big males. The other one is here, so he might be off somewhere else. But because of that, and the fact that these animals know that lions can be unpredictable due to the size of the pride, they are even more careful to come down, especially that giraffe. He knows that maybe one-on-one that lioness never had a chance, but he's unsure of what might happen if the whole pride tries to hunt it. And I think in not long from now we might start to see this pride get up and start moving to the larger shady patches where they might go lay down and settle for good for the day. There is still quite a few other species coming down, like those wildebeest and Impala. Looks like a large number of wildebeest spread out. You can see as they come down the crest, they stop for a moment briefly just to scan and check out the area. Impalas will be a little bit nervous, and that's because they can't see beyond that ridge in front of them. Now, where they are, there's a possibility that the wind might swirl within that dip there, and the scent of the lions might be carried towards them, which is what gives them that little bit of a on the edge behavior that they are showing us at this point. They look unsure. You can see they spread out every now and again. It's quick movements, few steps quickly forward. The wildebeest have scoped out the area. They don't seem too bothered. But I don't think they're seeing the lions. these animals in the nearby area will probably come down at their different times to come and have a drink.
Well, I'm trying to compare the multitudes of the wildebeest, where they're just by the dam, and when we are lucky, when we see them along the Mara River. When we see them in the Mara River, we see them in their hundreds. Now, when it rains here, we got lots of water everywhere. For example, yesterday we had a very big storm. There was so much rain for yesterday. Not sure how many millimeters of rain we got yesterday. But if that happens and we get water collecting out, in the savannah, not many of the wildebeest will come here for a drink. So they may opt to drink from the water that will be on the paddles, small little streams that will have water building up. They may choose to drink there. But after the migration is gone, after we have all the thousands of the wildebeest back in Serengeti National Park in Tanzania, any other that are left here, and it is the season, or when it dries up, we don't have these springs or wells having water, they always must come to the river to drink. They have no any other source of water. We got some stocks between the crocs and the hippos. We got some stocks there, 2, 3 of them, and if you look at them carefully, the one on the left doesn't have, the white hasn't fledged maturely like the 2 in the middle, and these are called the yellow-billed stocks. And I'm not sure they're here for drinking, but they're mainly here for feeding. But because it has been pretty cold, and with the rains of yesterday, they might want to spend some time there warming up fast. That was just trying to preen herself and making sure all the feathers are aligned very well. What you're imagining is a pair with their 2 youngsters, just thinking the 2 in the middle look to be adults, and the other 2 on either edge, they look to be their youngsters, and maybe they haven't been weaned to be on their own. Was that a yawn? The stocks yawn? Possibly. And also, if you look carefully, the youngsters do not have that yellow bill like the adults. Sometimes we call them woodstock because of the color on their beaks. Very long, sharp. And if the 2 adults could be a male and a female, on a closer look, you might notice the male have slightly longish beak, and it's more heavier than that of the female. That could be the only way you can tell a male from a female. Otherwise, when they breed, you'll see them in huge numbers roosting on top of trees. Another lovely morning with beautiful weather, and the whole idea for us is to stick here and see whether anything will come across this river.
And we are just continuing to experience the productiveness of this watering hole. And here we have a very large elephant bull. He looks like a mature bull. And if you look carefully at these temporal areas, you'll notice there's a secretion coming down. It's swollen. He's even got one tusk that's broken off, and considerably bigger than any of the other size elephants we saw this morning. This elephant is in must, and he's just come from, you can see he squirt out some water, probably a bit muddy, that part. But he's come from the southern side of this watering hole, and I think he's come past, number 1, to drink, but also to come and have a look and see if he can pick up on the scent of any of those herds of elephants that's moved past earlier. Try and see if there might be a cow in there that might be in heat. Now, normally an elephant bull like this, when he's in this state, he doesn't drink very long. It should be interesting to see how long this one drinks. He looks like a very mature bull and quite relaxed. Grey skull. Is the numbers of elephants starting to recover? That is a very complex question to answer. There's certainly more elephants than there were a number of years back, especially in the Kruger National Park. There was at one point around about the early 1900s where they were seen every now and again in certain areas. In some areas they only really saw tracks of them, and they moved so secretively to stay away from areas where there were people due to hunting that it was difficult to get the exact numbers. Since the start of the Kruger National Park and the protecting of this area, their numbers have grown. And in the Kruger Park, their numbers have grown to a massive amount. So their numbers have definitely recovered in this particular part. In other areas, like Botswana, there's also a huge amount of elephants in that part. And although there have been recent articles in the news about mysterious deaths of elephants in the northern parts of Botswana, the numbers are still a lot more than it was 30, 40 years ago. I know in East Africa they do struggle with ivory poaching, and over there the numbers are worry as it is dwindling. But it's a question, and I think will be different for different regions. The answer, I mean.
Thanks, Yapi, and welcome back to Djuma, where we've crossed back onto Djuma itself from Cheetah after following that hyena for some time. It was Ndebele, one of our younger individuals. He was running through the vegetation for a long time. We eventually caught up, and he decided to hide in the shade for a while. And then, as my assumption was correct, that vultures flying overhead were causing him to run. And then he chased after them again, but they were just moving, and we couldn't continue. But here is the wonderful scene of the woodlands of Djuma in the winter months. And there are still a few leaves on the trees, but most of the trees are devoid of leaves at the moment. A couple of yellow trees standing out there, the blossoms of the knobthorn acacia, which are the most colourful of plants at the moment. They flower a little bit earlier in the season, taking advantage of any insects that are around at the moment, possibly also maybe a little bit of wind.
You don't have any visuals.
There we go, look how beautiful that is. So pollination in trees and in plants is often something that is quite sort of interesting to discuss, because many of you have probably had allergies before, and you'll notice the allergies are timed with the growing season when grasses and trees are in flower. And many of the plants, grasses specifically, are all wind pollinated, but many trees have evolved different strategies. Some are very specific to certain organisms, to some birds, some mammals even, and some very specific to insects. And the way in which they're pollinated is very, very often a result of how old they are in the course of history. Obviously, wind would have been much older, insects pretty old as well, and then as you start getting more specific with birds and mammals, far younger from an evolutionary point of view. But flowering at a time when no one else is flowering is a very interesting one, because it means that the insects or birds or whatever it is that's going to pollinate you are going to go from one of your species to another. They're not going to waste the pollen elsewhere by going to some random flower. They're going to go from one to another, which means that the pollen is far less wasted when it comes to moving from a species into species transfer. But if everyone's in flower at the same time, as you know with honey is produced by bees who pollinate multiple species of plant, then obviously you get a lot of cross-pollination, a lot of mixture, and there's a lot of waste. And when you specify your pollinating agent to a very specific species, a bird or a bat or a specific insect, then you maximize the efficiency and you don't waste. When your pollen is designed to be transferred by wind, you have to produce an enormous amount of it for it to be successful. Megan, how pretty are they? You say you're loving the blossoms. Well, the yellow acacias now, the knobthorn, are really, really a good sight for this time of year. And I tell you, in 3 weeks to a month, this entire landscape is going to be green. All the trees responding to spring. There is a water table that many of the trees will tap into as the daylight changes. We're already seeing the changes in our game drive times. And as the daylight changes, those trees will come into leaf, many into flower, and some of them even begin fruiting.
It'll be very, very green indeed. Lots of newbies around as the seasons change. Little youngsters, lambs starting to drop end of November, early December. Little birds and lots of eggs. It'll be fantastic. Speaking of eggs, I read something really interesting about eggs recently and how the youngsters within those eggs in a clutch seem to be able to communicate with each other while still in the egg. Right? I think that's pretty crazy. Let me explain. What scientists had done was taken a clutch of 3, taken 2, removed 2, and put 2 into a control room where they were exposed to alarm calls. Something that made the alarm calls of their parent, or at least their species. So they got used to the sound of the alarm call. Now we know that birds can hear through their eggshells because they can hear their mother's calls through them. So they were exposed to these alarm calls. One was not. One was in a controlled room without any sound. Then they returned them together, still as eggs, and then they hatched. Also, we had another clutch that was not exposed to any alarm calls. The clutch that was exposed to the alarm calls with 2 that were and 1 that was not, they crouched much quicker when they were exposed to alarm calls once they had hatched. And they were able to protect themselves better because they knew what the alarm calls were. That's interesting because that clutch that was not exposed to alarm calls worked slower. Nothing going on here at Galago Pan besides the obligatory lapwing. So what that means is that all three eggs, part of the clutch of which 2 had been exposed to alarm calls, had actually responded well, which means that somehow that 3rd egg that was not exposed was able to get that information from the other members in its clutch. So the eggs had been communicating with each other prior to their birth or their breaking out of that egg. That's really, really interesting, I think. Hello, little Ngala. There were quite a few of them that went up the drainage bank there. Luke R., you say it's exceptional. I love it. I love it. These Ngala are not impressed with us, Luke R. But they're busy eating away in this drainage. Now, last night, just before dinner and after dinner, I heard bushbucks alarming just in front of our rooms. That's why I came down here, and there being a Ngala here is very helpful, because basically for me, having a whole lot of antelope around and knowing where the antelope are is kind of like having a neighborhood watch. And that one can alert the other one to alert the other one, and alerts me to the presence of a predator. And this one is very relaxed, nothing to report.
Well, this takes me to Tswalu, where we have always been with my friend Daylan watching the meerkats. But we do not have meerkats here. We got mongoose. Now, they want surely to drink, but they also have to be very, very careful. They know the dangers. Well, we call it the banded mongoose, and I think they might have chickened out. They didn't want to take the chance and going to have a drink. A very small colony, because normally you see them in big numbers of 20, 30, 40, and you just saw them standing up there just like the meerkats. How exciting. I mean, we have always called this river sometimes the river of life or river of death. And just by staying here, to me, this today is the river of life. Seeing hippos, crocs, storks, and now the mongoose. Now they may backtrack, hide in those bushes, and then maybe build some more courage and come out, maybe as a bigger colony, unlike the 5, 6 that had come down. Who knows? I was talking earlier of not having seen a woodpecker drinking. I also cannot remember the last time I saw mongooses or the mongoose drinking water from any point. I mean, and like all the animals here will drink water. I would like also to know from my colleagues who last saw some mongoose having a drink. That was an exciting moment. The whole idea is also stay put, just keep focusing, stay quiet, and just keep watching what could happen by the river. Interesting, all those animals there, the crocs, the storks, the hippos, were not bothered by those banded mongoose. So when croc goes back to water, maybe got too hot and swimming upstream. I'm not sure where she wants to go. At either changing location, submerged, disappears in the water, and the tail is still showing up. That's what I was saying earlier before. You'll see crocs, under the water, and they'll comfortably open their eyes, not because they're hiding from anybody, but they'll be very much in touch of what's happening in the watered world for them. They float very easily, unlike the hippos, which cannot swim or float in the water. I'm not sure, sometimes they pick anything as the water is flowing downstream. And ladies and gentlemen, remember, should you have any questions or comments, please send them through. You can tweet using hashtag CGTNWorld or hashtag WildEarth. Oh, there's a few coming back. I told you they might build some courage to come back. But as they do that also, if you look carefully, they keep coming browsing on the ground to pick anything. Maybe any insects, any beetles. Just try and compare the size of these monkeys to the hippos and see they're very small, and these other animals are very, very huge. Just look at them. The hippos are not concerned at all. How exciting is this? Actually, the animals that are worried are the banded monkeys. Will you go and have a drink? Or do you want to eat first? But I can tell in a way they must be thirsty. Go drink. Let me see how you drink. This is one of my most special sightings. I mean, out here, every day is different. Any day you go out, it's like opening a new page, you know, or a new chapter in a book. You don't see the same thing at the same time. Wow, we got what? Hammerkop just landed there. Let's see whether the dynamics are going to change here. Not really. It's going back, retreating to where they were. And the bird that you just saw landing there is called the hammerkop. Or is not. No, could be different. It's not a hammerkop, sorry. I can't see very well from where I am. It could be maybe a thickney or some kind of lapwing. Yeah, it looks like some sort of lapwing. Let's see. If we see the head, we shall be able to know. Hammerkops have very big heads. It's walking towards the hippos. And again, look, the hippos are not even bothered. But the way it landed to me, it looked like a hammerkop. It is a hammerkop 100%. Yes, it is. It landed there, and you can see the big head. It protrudes from the back like a hammer. And set a brief sight. I just hope that these banded monkeys will come back again and have a drink, and we'll wait for them here patiently.
Hello. Hello, welcome back to the plains of the Mara. And here I have giraffes, and on the background a beautiful forest with all the foods. Definitely that's a female. Look at the horns, almost invisible. They don't use them for anything, females, so they don't necessarily need them. This is the Maasai giraffe, and looks like it's a beautiful journey. Collectively, they call a journey of giraffe. That's a beautiful picture. Yeah, it's that kind of trees. Bananitis, I always will remind you, there's a date, because one day maybe I might ask you a question about the tree. And the main purpose the tree is shaped that way looks like they're on a mission. Looks like they're ambling somewhere. The kind of gait they have is called ambling. And if you notice, they're walking left to left, right to right, legs. Unlike other antelopes where they are walking opposite, here it's both sides at the same time. And I think this is to counterbalance the neck. Look at the necks also of all the three giraffes.
Look, a wonderful herd drinking. But let's have a look down here. Look who it is. It's our lone buff. With a young male really giving him a bit of problems here. They were drinking so nicely together. Hello, you. You are too sweet. To quote BK at this time, this is what happens when you quit your job to follow your dreams. Perhaps soon you'll have tusks. Even better, a trunk. Oh, it's too sweet. It's a young male hanging around with these elephants. Now it looks like the young elephant bull has stopped bothering it, at least. This is too sweet. So this is at least 5 days that they've been seen together. Listen to this gorgeous sound of all of them drinking. Young Ellie bulls, always the most feisty in the group, little troublemakers, but it's only because they're really, really curious. Flag show, you'd like to know what are the chances of it living with the herd forever? I have no idea. I mean, these things happen, you come across unlikely animal friends and things like that. I have no idea, statistically, what kind of chance this one has to live with them. But clearly they're being tolerant of him, and they have been for at least the last 5 days. Hopefully we'll see more of them so we can watch how he is tolerated and whether he gets accepted, whether he sees another herd, buffalo herd, and decides to join them. I love when they fling their trunks in the water like that. It looks like they're doing washing. They're hand washing their clothes in a river. That's the red-billed oxpecker screaming now. Oh, it's too sweet. So when it comes to a sighting like this, I like to just enjoy the sounds and the sights. Oh yes. Oh yes. It's time for a swim. This is how it starts. I know for myself, definitely. You think, oh, the water's cold, but you know, let me just go knee deep. You end up full body in the water. Luckily, I don't thrash about like an elephant. Oh, amazing. You can hear the water, you can hear these red-billed oxpeckers. Oh, look at that trunk. I wish I could put 2 eyes on a trunk. It looks like a little mouth. There we go, doing some hand washing again. What they're actually doing is trying to clear any bits that have been, any sediment in the water, as well as you can see there's lots of algae in this water. So they'll try to wave as much of it away so the water that they're drinking is nice and clean. Horse lover, you say your hearts are all melting? Mine too. Mine too, definitely. I feel like a 3-year-old child when I watch Unlikely Animal Friends. I feel like I'm a little bit addicted at looking at stuff like that. My favorite has to be Surya and Roscoe, an orangutan and the dog. I can't remember what breed he is. So I hope this can be an unlikely animal friendship too. I'm going to stick around here until the end of the show and watch this little family go about their business.
And here's a bit of a different view of the watering hole. You can see that giraffe to the left. That's the guy that came down on the other side. You can see how nervous he is. He knows that there's lions. Now he's followed that older bull. Just look how dark he is. He's licking off his lips. He's just had a drink. Without a care in the world. Walked straight here, drank, and I think he might be done. And we've been seeing other animals come and go all morning. Now where these giraffes are, actually there's 2 of the lions that's not far away from them. In fact, as the crow flies, maybe only about 40 or 50 meters. Those 2 look like they weren't really gonna do too much. I saw earlier they had a quick look at them drinking, but didn't seem too bothered. It must be quite a nervous time of the day, this for these giraffe. And I think that younger one saw the large one in the distance, decided to follow him down, knowing that might... Oh, there we go. He's going back down for a drink. Just have a look at that. So, I'm sure any of our viewers, if they ask themselves what that looked like, it looks a little bit awkward. You see, even the birds are taking advantage of this to go into the ear, grab some... and there we go. Shake to get them off. I think there's so much concentration and effort going down or going on and being involved in taking a drink at that position that he puts his ears back, and that's when the birds also feel the best time to take their advantage of it. And you can imagine a predator would do the same. Next low down, it'll be off balance. Something as large as a lion will definitely take advantage of that situation. Look at him keep licking his lips. He's stuck it all the way down. There's probably some bit of debris on the water's edge or mud that he's licking off and cleaning his nostrils.
Nobody got chased into the water, just a little bit. Most of the herd has left, but he has 2 young bullies giving him a tough time. You want to come up behind the car? You're not going to have space, my boy. Okay. Okay. Hey. Hey. You have some really large ticks on you. Aww. I'm sure this young buffalo will follow. I hope he does find peace and belonging. Sarah, you think they'll be best friends forever? Maybe. Maybe this young bull is just teasing. And when you see little boys like 5 years old and they will suddenly fight with each other and they become best friends. I don't know. I wonder if they'll remember this buffalo. I'm sure they will remember that buffalo seem to hang out with them fine, and they can, ride together. Perhaps not till they die, but certainly I'm sure they'll remember that they've had a buffalo in their midst at one point. Whether they'll remember the specific one, who knows? Maybe they'll never have to forget it, because it'll be with them forever. So many options. Well, the wind has picked up. I'm glad that we had this lovely sighting. All our hearts did melt. Certainly mine did. I know some of yours did too. I hope we'll see them again. And I hope that I'll see you guys again too this afternoon for Sunset Safari. So thank you for your questions and comments. See you then.
This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon, everyone. What a magnificent way to start with the African elephant. This is awesome. Well, welcome aboard. Grab a seat for your live safari through the African bush.